Hi everyone, so we just had a Season 5 Campfire chat. We have been watching this here live on stream. We have a lot of people here. Hi YouTube. And I want to give you a short summary of what is going on. It looks like Season 5 is going to be big yet again. There's a lot of cool stuff coming. It was basically a pretty big W from my perspective. I think a lot of people here agree with that. And yeah, there's a new endgame feature coming, lots of unique reworks, buffs to especially Sorcs and Druids, some general game changes, and just lots of quality of life. So let's get into it. There's also a blog post here that also details most of the stuff that I will be talking about, including the Season 5 patch notes, which I will not go over right now. I will have a separate video for that because this will take some time to digest, and you can stay tuned for another upload here. But the big takeaways, so let's keep that short basically. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I also have a lot of screenshots here so we can kind of show this. The first big thing is PTR will have a live character copy. So if you want to jump in and play it, they did not say that it's still only available for Battle.net, I believe. At least this was the case last time for Season 4, where only Battle.net PC players were able to play it. Maybe that is still the case, but at the very least you can jump in with your own characters. And we have also confirmation that Season 5 will launch on the 6th of August and go until 8th of October, and then Vessel of Hatred will come out and Season 6 starts the same day. So I'm not sure if they had revealed that before. We also don't know about the theme yet, but they were talking about we're going back to hell and some stuff like that, which kind of goes with the new Infernal Hordes endgame feature that they are introducing as a permanent feature. And we don't know what is coming as the theme just yet. There will be another reveal or some other campfire or something as that later. But before that is also going to be the Spiritborn reveal. So sometime late July or so, we're going to hear some more details, I guess. Now, about this new feature, the Infernal Hordes. It sounds pretty cool. So we're going to have some kind of sigil. So we have a screenshot here that you see that has kind of like a wave-based progression system. There are a total of 8 waves. And the difficulty ramps up every single time, with tier 8 being kind of like 180 to 200 monster level, like probably pit 80 to 100-ish. And after each wave, there will be some upgrades to choose. So there's like some monsters that spawn here. It looks like this. And then the wave starts, you have to defeat them. And every time after that, it's a bit like a roguelike mode where you select like an upside and a downside, or you have like these ether rewards that you can gather. And depending on how much ether you get, you can at the end choose certain reward chests. So there can be different rewards. There is gold, mats, masterworking mats apparently. There's a chest with a guaranteed greater affix item. There are certain uniques and legendary aspects that you can target from there as well, in addition to the random drops that you can get them somewhere else. So not making like, for example, new uniques and put them on old bosses. Instead, you get them here. And there might be more different types of rewards chests. So you kind of just like select whatever you want at the end of each wave, and it gets harder every time. You have limited amount of rewards. And if you get to the end, there will be a boss fight. And that's actually kind of cool. So this is like the Travancal guys in Diablo 2, if you remember those. The council members are there, and there's a total of, I believe, 5 of them. They look pretty badass. And always 3 of them will be present in a random mix, basically. So there's always a variation in this boss fight. And they mentioned that when you take one of them down, then the others are getting empowered. So I guess there might be some strategies around killing them simultaneously, or, maybe, you single target them down real fast or something like that. So we'll see. We just saw some clips in action here. It looked kind of cool. And they also have some of their iconic abilities. You see the hiders, for example, from one of the guys and these kind of things. So this is how you beat this mode. This is going to be available starting from World Tier 3. So you don't have to wait all the way to level 100 to even get in there. So you can try to maybe get some of the uniques early on as well. They've actually shown some of them that look pretty cool as well. So it sounds really fun. I'm excited to try this out. Then we have the new uniques and legendaries here. So let me show them real quick. So this is what you got here. This is one of them, the Basilisk for Druids. This is an Earth Staff. Wait, can you guys see that properly? Let me move that a little bit so you can see this here. An Earth Staff that petrifies enemies when you hit them. Sounds kind of interesting. I guess there might be some combos around that, depending on how Petrify works exactly. Or maybe that even is like the same as the ultimate, for example. That could be kind of big if that actually carries the ultimate, like crit damage effect, for example. We'll see. Here's a new item for barbs. This makes your weapon mastery skills into core skills that now cost resources. Then we have a necromancer weapon that summons skeletons that explode from corpses. So that's kind of interesting. This might open up some cool stuff here, and also gives you the option to spawn a lot of corpses with +5 to hit flesh. And here's a rogue item. That's a kind of interesting one. So you spawn a shade totem that you can attack, and when you hit it, it will explode for some of the damage it took. So this allows you kind of like burst down and burst stuff in AoE, or convert a single target hit into an AoE hit, for example. So it could be kind of interesting. A little bit like, for example, Shatter from the Sorc. Then we have this here. This is a Sorc staff that allows you to cast your basic attacks when you use a core skill, and this can also mix and match different elements, so that sounds really fun. Might be able to make some more combos work with like basic attacks here for Sorcs. And we have a generic item. This is this pair of boots that has a bunch of cooldown, non-fizz, and movement speed, and then you cast an explosion around you when you use a cooldown. So I think these are all of the new uniques coming to this game mode that will be target farmable. But in general, there is going to be a lot of them. They have not shown us all of these items here. In fact, I don't think they have shown us a single new aspect, but they said there will be 50+ new uniques and legendaries. So that sounds pretty wild. So we can definitely expect a lot of really cool stuff. There are a few more that I have shown us later, which I will go over right now. Let's find them real quick. So we have this here, for example, for barbs. This is like a Kratos barb item, so you might remember that build. So I actually played it this season, actually, and it turns out that is getting a lot better with this upgrade here. So a new neck that allows you to basically cast the Iron Maelstrom all the time and be a bit more of a support bar, potentially. Sounds kind of fun. And, well, there is also some other reworks here, for example, for Druids. Shepherd's aspect is getting changed to a companion power, and they want to buff Druids across the board to compensate for this. So Druids are free from the companions, basically. That's kind of cool. Here's a very interesting unique item, Axial Conduit. The Chain Lightning unique pants. They showed us in action. It looks way cooler than just on a screenshot, but basically it rotates around you when you cast Chain Lightning, and then it jumps to the enemies, and it comes back and rotates again, and it jumps back to the enemies, and it drains your mana really fast. And the idea is that you have to stack a lot of resource generation in order to use this, and it sounds like a pretty massive buff to Chain Lightning in general. So Chain Lightning login, that's gonna be pretty cool. And well, some other like class updates they have shown here as well. Golems can now leap into battle, and we have a bunch of other stuff. So that's kind of like the takeaway here for this Infernal Horde system and some of the updated legendaries and uniques. We will see more in the patch notes and on the PTR, so I'm going to keep you guys covered there. Some other cool changes: uniques can be target farmed from Obols, Helltide, and Whispers, and you can also get mythic uniques, which are the Uber uniques. This is the now official term for those. You can get them now from those sources as well, so you actually have a chance to get exactly what kind of unique you're looking for example, so that's kind of cool. In general, they're updating all uniques. We're not going to see this on the PTR just yet, but they want to update all uniques in the game for Season 5. Basically, bigger, better, stronger, faster, whatever. There's going to be like more thematic stats on them with really high values, for example. They talked about like a fire unique should have a lot of fire damage, these kind of things. And they want to redefine like the unique's purposes a little bit, to the point where if there's like a build specific unique, then you want to use that. Like, for example, the Fireball gloves, the gloves of the Illuminator, and then the Fireball staff, which is not very strong right now. So you can expect that a lot of these uniques are getting significant buffs to be actual chase items for builds that are specifically designed for. And in general, they kind of want to like raise the top end of uniques, giving them a higher range of possible rolls, so that you can have a way stronger outcome, a way bigger unique, basically. So you can become, you know, kind of these rare chase items if you get a really good roll. And it may not be useful when it's a low roll, but it may be kind of strong when it's a high roll. So there's a bit of like a potential progression, or at least like this excitement of finding a certain item. And it sounds like they don't want to do something like a tempering for uniques or these kind of things. Instead, there's going to be this like more RNG system. You find a unique, and you know, it's going to be either good or bad, kind of. So that's kind of what is going on there. Some general changes here. Perma immunity. So I guess everyone saw that one coming. Flame shield is dead. So this is something I guess that also applies to stuff like, for example, Blood Mist. So keep that in mind as well for the Necros. But yeah, most importantly, like the perma flame shield is gone. But as I mentioned, there will be buffs to Sorcs, so this should compensate. But they're also nerfing monster CC, and you can now use potions while CC'd. Not sure if I like that too much, because it might take away a bit of the thrill from hardcore, but we'll see how it will be. But okay, I guess most people really enjoy this change, so you just kind of like die less, so get like less frustrated when something like that happens. Also a cool change coming for tempering. +1 temper roll per greater affix. They're actually doing this. I've actually talked about this, I think in a podcast and some feedback video and stuff like that. It's actually an idea that I also passed on to the devs because someone from my chat brought it up at some point, and it seems like this is exactly what they're implementing. So +1 greater affix, +1 roll per greater affix gives you up to 8 rerolls for 10 in total, basically 10 chances to get what you want. With the tempers, when you have the 3 greater affix items, that's pretty good. That should already solve a lot of the frustration that comes with the system, I guess. And they also want to look into other ways to maybe let you influence the RNG, get a specific outcome more often or more likely or something like that. So that sounds kind of cool. And this is retroactive to existing items. So if you want to go to Eternal with your bricked item, you can brick it all over again. Good luck. Now, some other updates here. Druids and sorcerers, I mentioned this. We're also getting a huge flurry buff. So we have this here somewhere. Here, improved flurry is getting buffed, enhanced flurry is getting buffed. They have like a massive stacking effect. It sounds like a flurry season, or at the very least, flurry sounds to be way more useful and way more like yeah, somewhere up there in the meta at least. We'll see how exactly it will be, but it did give some significant damage buff, especially for single targets where it was lacking the most. So that's kind of cool. You can now also dash around the flurry, a bit like the shred druids. That sounds quite cool. And you can also have stuff like another stacking damage buff and energy cost reduction and stuff like that. So you can probably even make something like a inner sight or preparation flurry build or something like that. We'll see. It sounds really cool though, so I'm excited to try this out. Some other changes here. The weapon stats have been reworked, so I can show that real quick. Let's see where that is. But yeah, basically they've changed all the inherent stats on all of the weapons. Not really anything significant. They just kind of like move them around a little bit and made them a bit more streamlined. So this is what it looks like. So for example, there's now vulnerable damage on ones and no more lucky hit. Lucky hit is now on offense. Offense have lost their cooldown. Yeah, kind of like small stuff, I guess, but it seems to make a little more sense. Personally, this is actually the one change that I'm the most unhappy with, because I would have waited for like something much cooler than just a little bit of stats. I would have actually hoped for something closer to, for example, what the barbarians have with their weapon masteries or so. But okay, this is what we got for now. Another thing though is that now there is more options for which weapons you can use on a few classes. So we have druids that can run polearms, swords and daggers, one-handed swords, that should be said. Sorcerers as well, one-handed swords and maces, and necromancers can now also use axes. So that has been updated, so you have now more options for your items. So I guess number one, it will be easier to find items, and number two, there's certain unique options that open up here as well. So for example, you know, Doombringer can now go on its Zork or these kind of things as well. This could be kind of interesting. Some other cool quality of life changes. Beast in the Ice Dungeon is no longer a sigil and it's much smaller. You can just go in and farm it over and over. Varshan, only 1 mat per summon. And you can re-summon bosses. Now, the technology is here. You can see this. This is a Duriel kill, and there's like already the thing popping up again. In fact, in this clip here, we saw Duriel coming out of the ground with his corpse still lying there. So that was kind of funny. And this is how we can farm them now. So my personal expectation is that at some point the instance will just crash if we do this long enough. But I'm excited to try that out. Yeah, this is kind of like here the biggest stuff that's coming. There is some bug fixes as well. I guess that is also perfectly expected. Victimized double dip is getting fixed. A lot of people keep asking me, what does that mean? It means that Heartseeker is still pretty solid, but not like the top dog anymore for rogues. So it might be some A tier build still or so. Penshot, probably the same story. It's still going to remain fairly good, but not like ridiculous. And Dots is getting bug fixed with the ×2 additive damage from all damage. So now you actually have to scale damage over time instead of all damage or so. Not really a big deal. And the Skeleton Reaper, both upgrades at once stuff is getting fixed. Now there was some Q&A at the end. It talked about some small stuff, but some stuff that is definitely not coming in Season 5 is loot filters, loadouts, social features, and auction house. They understand that we want this stuff, and I guess they are working on this in the background, but for now there is no confirmed dates or seasons or anything like that, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, this is probably kind of everything that we have to share here right now. as I mentioned, there are these patch notes as well, so I will go through them, but this will be a separate upload. So for now, hope you enjoyed my little summary here. I will also link this blog post here that has all the patch notes, has all of this stuff written down again, so you can go check this out. And again, stay tuned for my next upload where we'll talk about all of the other little details that we'll probably spend a few hours dissecting right now. So for now, hope you liked the summary and see you guys next time.